What up, what up, what up, what up? It's your boy P. Skip. Welcome to the best half hour of your entire Tuesday. You know what time it is. It's time to get into his court. My squad with me, T-Mac.
Hola.
Chili Will.
Gracias, amigo.
Let's do this. Ecclesiastes 9:11 says this. I returned and saw the sun. I returned and saw that under the sun, the race is not given to the swift, nor the battle to the strong, nor bread to the wise, nor riches to men of understanding, nor favor to men of skill. But time and chance happens to them all. And I said that because of our beloved Bucks. Went down 2-0. And I'm not surprised at that because you're supposed to hold your home court.
Right.
But it's how they lost that made you kind of question, what's the game plan here, bud? What's the game plan here, Bucks? Because it doesn't look like this game plan is going to even affect the Nets in any type of way. There's a couple things that I'm really questioning Bud. And you know what? Tell you what, I'll throw it out there with y'all. How do you think the Bucks have been doing so far in this series? We'll go with Mr. Buck himself, aka Baby Bango, Chili Willie.
Mega Bucks. The Bucks it's been shameful. It's been disgraceful. How they've represented themselves, how they played, the way they've been manhandled. They look like Miami, and the Nets look like the Bucks. It's just shameful. And the last game they came back, and they, in my estimation, they got lucky because if you got Durant and you got Kyrie and you got a 3-point game, I take my chances with that one. But they got lucky and they played good defense. They're going to have a better strategy next time because that 20-point lead or whatever they had is what gave them enough breathing room to pull it out at the end. So without that 20-point cushion, they may be in a little bit of trouble.
T-Mac.
Yeah, I would agree. I think that the first two games were pretty atrocious. Coming into this series, I mean, the Bucks, last couple of seasons, I'll even say, winning 60-plus games, winning all the hardware, 2-time defending MVP, Defensive Player of the Year, Coach of the Year, Executive of the Year. These last 2 years has probably been some of the most glorious in terms of awards that the Bucks have had in franchise's entire history collectively. But on the court, they've come up short in the playoffs. And I know that going into the last 2 or 3 seasons, there's been a lot of talk about, hey, this could be the year that the Bucks make it all the way at least to the finals, if not win it. I wasn't really that on that particular bandwagon for the past 2 seasons. This year, I will admit, though, coming into the playoffs, I really liked our chances. The team had been improved upon, a couple new pieces, Drew Holiday, Bobby Portis, Brian Forbes, and they were playing well coming into the playoffs and having to face last year's arch nemesis, the Miami Heat in the first round, was, I thought, an excellent litmus test to really see where we were. Handled them quite easily. After that first game, that was kind of close that Chris Middleton hit the game winner. The rest of the series, other than that, the rest of the series was, the Bucks as a daddy, so to speak, to Miami. And I thought that was, exhibit A of, hey, we are a solid team, bring on the Nets. And those first 2 games, I was wondering, who are these imposters? Because they looked nothing like the team I had watched all year and through the first, round of the playoffs. And game 2 in particular, where we lost by 39 points and we're down by as much as 49 in the game, that's just inexcusable for a competitive team, no matter what level you plan on, particularly in professional sports. You're not supposed to lose like that. So my hope was, coming back to Milwaukee, that their spirits weren't crushed by the humiliating demolition that they suffered at the hands of the Nets both times in Brooklyn. But at the end of the day, Brooklyn just really held serve. They had home court advantage. The first 2 games are in Brooklyn. Next 2 were given in Milwaukee. You're supposed to win your home games, and that's all Brooklyn did. So the Bucks, I was hoping that they would be able to be at least more competitive than they were in those first 2 games, and thankfully they were. They came out seeming as if they had been embarrassed. They had come out seeming as if they hadn't given their best foot forward or their best effort, and they came out with attitude. And despite the fact that they raced out to a big lead, we figured that kind of could happen. We figured with the firepower that the Brooklyn Nets have with Kevin Durant and Kyrie, and they're still playing without James Harden, even without being full strength, they're still pretty explosive. So we knew they were going to come back, and that this 20-point lead by the Bucks probably wouldn't sustain itself. The second question was, well, hey, when they do come back and they get their look back and they punch the Bucks back, will the Bucks fold and go into this woe is me pity party and figure we can't beat these guys, they're going to come back on us again? They didn't. They scrapped. I like when PJ Tucker got in Kevin Durant's face like a fight. Hey, I ain't back. We grown men up in here, bump you. I really like that. KD's personal security guard came and got into the mix. So it showed that they have some fight, and I really appreciated that. So with the win, despite it being only by 3 points, I really appreciate that. Drew Holiday had a rough game, but he put the go-ahead basket in off a great move that he has in his bag of tricks. I just wish he would do that more often because he, not quite as cold as Kyrie Irving, but next to Kyrie Irving, he can hold his own if he goes ahead and plays. And so I think there's some other things the Bucks need to do, such as Giannis, stop shooting 3-pointers. That's not your forte. Get your behind down there in the paint. Let Drew run the point. Quit calling for the ball. He will give you the ball in the best possible position for you to score. Work on your free throws. And I'm also encouraged by Chris Middleton finally stepping up, having a big game. Big game being consistent, hitting clutch baskets, and going for 30-plus points, because every once in a while, we need our so-called number 2 guy to carry some of the load and get us 30 to 40 occasionally. He did that. Hopefully this momentum from that win restores some confidence to them, gets them settled down a little bit, and they can take that momentum into game 4, get another dub, and have the series tied going back into Brooklyn for game 5.
Yeah, I agree with both of y'all. Just for the record, NBA just banned Kevin Durant's bodyguard because of what he did.
Good. And they ought to fine him.
Out of here, bro.
Right. Good.
But, concerning the Bucks, I have concern because they're starting to look like they did last year. Now Giannis is bringing it up. He goes 1 for 10 from the 3. Why are you shooting that many threes, and why are they letting you shoot that many threes? Mm-hmm. Somebody should have pulled him to the side and said, that's not what we need you to do. Get down here, get their bigs, post up Kevin Durant, get him in foul trouble, get Blake Griffin in foul trouble, because if he's in foul trouble, you get to do what you want because nobody else is strong enough to handle you. Okay. Why are you letting them off the hook by shooting threes and missing them?
Amen.
Not even close to hitting them. And yet nobody's pulling you. The coaches are saying, that's enough. Mm-hmm. No more threes. Leave that to the people who hit them, not you. Mm-hmm. And so that, and then you bring the ball.
Let me add this real quick to that, Pastor Skip. Yeah, go ahead. In addition to everything you just said, you and Brook Lopez, Giannis, have a couple of inch size advantage on the opposition and about 20 to 30 pounds as well. Work the game inside out. You got too many advantages for you to be, like you said, letting them off the hook with those threes. Go ahead, sir.
And when you work the game inside out, then the 3 shooters get more space to shoot because then they call for help. And by that time, you done kicked it and swung it a couple times, and you getting wide open threes. And even PJ Tucker isn't hitting his signature corner threes that he normally hits. But I do like the defense that they're playing.
Agreed.
I do like that they are making Kevin Durant and Kyrie take hard shots. Mm-hmm. They're not getting easy buckets. So I cannot say anything about that. But it's what we're doing offensively that it seems like versus with the Heat, it seemed like we were growing into something And now with the Nets, seems like we're falling back into something we shouldn't be. And so that part, I'm like, okay, coach, Bud, when you gonna start coaching? Versus just throwing the ball out there and say, well, Giannis, do what you do. Yeah, that ain't what you do, Giannis. You don't shoot threes. So don't start it now. Don't try to make us think you're a three-point shooter when you ain't been that for the last 5 years. So let's
Well,
start.
everybody backing up off of me.
Right.
You get the ball, they back up. They like, man, you can shoot all you want.
Yeah. And even with that, I would hope game 4 and moving forward that if they're going to be 10 feet off from you, bruh, take a couple steps in and shoot the J. You can still shoot the J.
Get a little closer.
You get a little closer. That's all. I mean, and if you work on your free throws enough, you will be free throw line extended on your J, a step or two inside the 3-point line, top of the key-ish. So that should be a signature shot for you that can be your money shot. Similar to Kareem had the hook, similar to Jordan had the fade away. This can be your signature shot. People are going to be playing off you, taking in a few steps. It's an easier basket to make, which will in turn increase your percentage of field goals made. That's what we need. Made field goals, not misses.
You preaching better than I'm Manning right now, bro.
Yes, sir.
I'm like, whoo, Giannis, you're looking everything but like an MVP. So
yeah,
anyway.
I mean, he finished with 33 points and 15 rebounds. So he still is a stat stuffer. He still works hard. He's still a guy that gives you 100%. We appreciate all of that, and we're glad we have you on our team. All we're saying, sir, is make a few tweaks so that you can be even more effective as a player, because you have some advantages in height, in athleticism, and in strength that you could use and bring to bear more than what you're doing. And in these times where the air gets thinner in the playoffs, we need to play to our strengths as close to 100% as possible, because the margin of error is so small.
I don't know why they left Brett Forbes in Miami. Why they didn't bring him back from Miami? They left the man down there, didn't they?
Right.
I ain't seen that man since South Beach. Where he been?
Right.
Hey, but let me say this though. Let me say this. All of this stuff that we're saying, I'm sure the coaches have said it to Giannis, his brother, his fiance. I mean, this is obvious stuff. So obviously he's being hard-headed, and he's a little confused on his decision making, which is not helping the team. But speaking of helping the team, some of those other guys who pick up checks on Tuesday need to show up and earn their money. You know, they need to do some things. There's nobody else doing anything except Lopez, Giannis, and Middleton. I mean,
and Drew.
Drew was balling. He had a rough game in game 3, but he was balling. He had like 17 both games, 1 and 2.
Drew it's supposed to be points in the game where Drew just take over for 2-3 minute stretches and just sit on Kyrie's head and just drop dimes. He's supposed to do that in stretches, and he's not doing that. I think if everybody would just, I'm gonna tell you, a big play in the game, they came down, the momentum was in their favor, and they did out to Connaughton for a wide open 3, and he shot an air ball.
I remember that play. Yeah.
That right there, that let me know y'all got a little chicken in you. Because dude, if you hit that shot, game over.
It's over.
When you air ball, the defense know they scared.
They ain't ready. And to your point, Will, I think that it's excellent that you make the excellent point about Drew Holiday taking over the game in spurts at different times.
Yes.
But I think this year, I think it's kind of a 2-year window. And I'll go back even to the trade that brought him here. And we tried to get the Bogdanovich cat that's playing, I think, for Atlanta right now. I think what Drew, and this is just speculation, I think what Drew came in was, hey, I'm going to be very, very particular about how I impose my will on this team. Giannis and Chris Middleton have been together for a couple of years, and I'm going to observe what their relationship is like. You know, it's the scripture in the Bible that talks about put not yourself in the place of great men, for it's better that you be called up to be with them than for you to place yourself in a certain position, and then the joker that's running that show tells you to get up out your seat because they're reserving it for somebody that's more highly esteemed than you, and you got to walk back to the back. thinking that you was, up close in front row seat, but now you're in the Bob Uecker seats, you know what I'm saying, up in the upper deck. So I think Drew kind of came in, so let me just observe some stuff, and he sees a certain kind of relationship that they have, like this is our team, and unless we, anoint you as our third musketeer, you're going to have to just be relegated to the outside. And so I think with Drew, instead of pushing that more, said, you know what, I'm just going to kind of show and prove this first year. And if we can get to the finals, great. Nobody foresaw that the Nets were going to try and stack the deck and build this super team. The Bucks had positioned themselves to be a deep run Eastern Conference team, Eastern Conference Finals, maybe even the finals, had the Nets not assembled this all-star mishmash that they have. So if we don't get it there, we will see where our litmus test is, how close we are to it. Then I can make the case of, hey, y'all, if y'all let me express myself more, we can go ahead and do that. I think right now in this crucible of the playoffs, they might have to accelerate that experiment. And he needs to go out to a steak dinner with them cats to the 5 o'clock club or something. Say, look here, man, I need to be able to come on down without y'all tripping. So if we get into a lull where we haven't scored a basket in 3 or 4 minutes, you see what I can do. I can take somebody at will off the dribble, pat that peel, finish strong at the rim with the left or right, put you guys in scoring position. Let me take over some without y'all getting salty at me, and we have a cancer in the locker room. Is that okay? Do I have permission to do that? They say, yeah, I think we'll see more of that. But I think that it's more on the passiveness of Drew, having seen that, okay, this is kind of their thing. And if I do step in a little bit, they'll think I'm trying to, bogart my way into a place that I would be better off if they granted me the grace to be able to do. And hopefully they do that sooner rather than later.
Well, look, there's a lot of other things going on in these NBA playoffs other than the Bucks. The Joker has been awarded the MVP. Skip, I'm Pastor, I'm gonna let you talk about that a little bit.
You just said it all. The Joker,
Nikola Jokic.
Why am I forgetting his name? Yeah, Nikola Jokic, right. For Denver, thinking that I thought he was going to need help to get to this place. I thought without Jamal, it was going to be difficult for him not only to do well in the playoffs, but definitely I didn't think he was going to win MVP without him, because I thought he would take some of the pressure off him and do what he does. But the Joker's proven to be a one-man wrecking crew. And he don't care. Bring your mama out, your daddy out, your grandpa, whatever you do. If you holding me tonight, do not let your family come to this game, because there's going to be a full embarrassment session going on the entire evening, because he's giving it to everybody. Everybody. And what's funny about him is you look at him and once again you think, why is dude shaped like a janitor? He ain't nothing physically opposing by him. He ain't quick. He is just skilled beyond measure. This dude has a set of skills. He has a skill set he's a 7-foot Larry Bird, if you ask me. Mm-hmm. I think that's the best way to describe him, as a 7-foot Larry Bird, because he can handle the pill. He can create any shot he wants. He can get the ball to anybody who's open. Joker is a different kind of dude. He's a 7-foot, again, Larry Bird to me. So I'm pretty excited. But even with all them skills, Phoenix is giving them the business. Yeah, even with the joke, he's not been proven that he's enough for Phoenix so far.
Well, with the stat line that he had in the most recent game, if he had that kind of stat line and they still lose, then it's going to be rough on them, man, because he had a ridiculous stat line the last game, man. He had like 30 points, 20 rebounds, 9 assists. No, he had 10 assists. He had triple-double. And they still got handled by the Phoenix Suns. So it's going to be tough for Denver to come back. They got one more chance, but I don't see them. I think Chris Chris Paul done sold everybody on their team insurance policy.
Yeah, I'm a little surprised that Denver is getting
Right.
handled the way they are.
Right.
You know, I think it's State Farm, Chris Paul. I thought that, you know, when Jamal Murray first went down, I did think that, you know, their chances of going far in the playoffs were done. You know, Jamal Murray had a phenomenal playoff run. He's an all-star player and an excellent compliment to Jokic. I mean, they, you know, 1-2 punch. And without your main guy being there, that, you know, was a severe blow. But to their credit, they didn't skip a beat for the remainder of the regular season and, you know, the first round of the playoffs, and they were doing their thing. I thought their coach really was able to get the best out of the players, and they have a number of role players who were stepping up and playing above their heads that I thought they'd be able to maintain, going even back to last year in the bubble, where they came back 2 or 3 times from 1-3 deficits in the playoffs to win playoff series. And so I'm like, okay, these guys kind of got the Midas touch. But they ran up against a buzzsaw in Phoenix. I think Chris Paul has been a marvelous addition to that squad and what he brings in terms of stability, leadership, and bringing out the best in his teammates. And I believe Devin Booker has really trying to demonstrate the fact that you guys gave me an all-star snub this year in the playoffs or at the all-star midway point of the season. I took that personal. I think I'm one of the best players in the game, and I'm going to show and prove. I ain't going to say nothing. I'm going to let my play speak for itself. And he's been demonstrating that. I think that Monty Williams needs some consideration for Coach of the Year. I know Coach Tibbs from New York already got it, but Monty, going back to last year, going 8-0 in the bubble, that carried over into this year, demonstrated his chops in terms of, hey, I know how to do both the X's and O's as well as lead my team to live up to their full potential. Phoenix looks very, very impressive. And despite, you know, the Joker's MVP status, his stat lines, his magicianship, they're going up against a team that really, you know, just might be the wrong place at the wrong time. And Phoenix is looking like a team that's destined to not only make the Western Conference Finals, they may even represent the West in the finals with the way they're playing if everybody can stay healthy, particularly CP3.
Yeah, you know, Phoenix looks very good.
Mm-hmm.
Now, let me ask you a question. Going back to the East now, and we'll close out with this. Do you think Atlanta can beat Philly? Because they are giving Philly some problems right now. Yes, Philly's up 2-1, but Atlanta looks no ways tired or afraid of Philly. And I think, my opinion is, I think that Atlanta can beat Philly. And, you know, Philly is just one ankle twist or one crazy fall by Embiid away from losing it anyway, you know? So, you know, I don't.
Hey, wait 1 minute here, man. Wait a minute. Embiid has been having one of the best playoff runs on one leg and one knee. Mm-hmm. He's been serving people up with a torn meniscus and sprained calf muscle, and he still got ridiculous numbers. So let's give him a break. I know he put together with Scotch tape and spit, but at this point,
hey, bro, paper mache.
At this point, he's been showing that, hey, he looks like King Kong. Ain't nobody in this on the land side that can deal with that man. He is straight roasting people.
Yeah, I would have to agree. He is looking very, very impressive. And to Will's point, he's doing it on, you know, some gimpy, you know, legs with some injuries that could be even more severe if, you know, he falls the wrong way. I do think Atlanta, you know, has been impressive. I don't think they're afraid of Philly. I think they believe they can win. I thought the last game in game 3, that first game in Atlanta was a tough loss for them. I think had they won that game, I would have been a little bit more confident in them pulling this upset and getting past Philly. The way Philly won, it was almost as if Philly was saying, okay, we're tired of playing with y'all because we see that y'all are dangerous. Let us go ahead and just remind you all who the number 1 seed is. And anytime we feel like popping your head, we can do that. Get somewhere and sit down. They played like that. The one thing that I'm a little concerned about is that despite Doc Rivers having his, you know, hardware championship coach, he's a player's coach. I'm sure the players love to play for him. he's a little bit too passive sometimes. And that meltdown that the Clippers had last year, I don't know if Philadelphia falls into some of those same things if Doc can correct it, because I don't know if that's his style. But I will say, though, that I think he's been instrumental in Joel Embiid playing the way he's been playing. It's almost as if he went to Embiid personally and said, hey, man, you too big to be letting these little kids push you around like that. You ought to impose your will every game and be Godzilla out here on Jokers. And Embiid seems to have taken that to heart, as evident by the fact that he does have that slight tear in his meniscus and he's still out there playing, as opposed to my pinky toe is hurt, I need to sit out. He seems to be wanting to demonstrate that, hey, I am one of the best players. Even though I've had some injuries before, I'm willing to tough it out and play through that and be a franchise player that can carry a team deep into the playoffs. So he has something to prove too. And it would be very embarrassing for him and the franchise if they did let this very dangerous Atlanta team beat them.
Well, I want to go back to the West. Utah.
Well, let me say this. We got to go ahead and close.
Oh, okay.
So this is what I want to ask. I want to ask a quick question. I need a yes or a no. Do you think, I'll start with you, Will, do you think Atlanta can be Philly?
Yes.
Tim?
Yes.
All right. And I say yes, it's unanimous. Listen, great show, you guys. Thank you so much for being here again. We'll see you next week. Same bat time, same bat channel. Right here, Joy 1340 AM, 98.7 FM. Also on YouTube and Facebook. The greatest and best #1 sports, faith-based sports talk show in the entire world, Into His Courts. Until next week, hey.